Brought to you by Mint Mobile. Stay tuned for a special offer at the end of the show. Hi, and welcome to the Mobile Tech Podcast. I'm your host, Miriam Schroer, and today is Thursday, January 29th, 2026. And the most excellent and lovely Shannon Morse is here with me today. Hi, Shannon. How's it
Hi,
going?
Miriam. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm pretty chilled today. So it's like really nice. I think
Oh,
that
good.
because I'm not recording in the morning, I feel like more relaxed. Maybe I should make this time slot my recording slot. I mean, it varies with my guests' availability. So, how are things?
Things are going really good. I've been working really hard since CES a couple of weeks ago that we both attended.
Hmm.
And I've just been trying to get my life in order for the new year. And I'm really looking forward to all the products that I've already been seeing coming out. So I think it's going to be a very busy year for us.
Yeah, it's going to be hectic. Like last year was pretty insane. And I think this year is going to be a repeat. I kind of feel actually this is good right now, this kind of post CS lull. I mean, last year with the Samsung
Yeah.
phones came out and we just hit the ground running immediately. But this year, no. Thank God. Like, I feel like this
Yeah.
pause is letting me set up all my business deals for the year and
Me
all of
too.
that.
Me too.
Post CES, because yeah, CES was hectic as always. But look, we're going to talk about some new devices. But before we do, the world is kind of on fire right now, to put it
Yes, it
mildly.
is.
And you have done a series of videos on security and privacy last year that I think we should talk about. I think I'd like to get my audience acquainted with some of the best practices of what they can do with their privacy and security on various devices. So maybe you can kind of walk us through what they need to know. And then from
Yeah.
there, we'll explore some news topics and talk about some things like the TriFold and, ooh, exciting.
Yes, all the fun things. Okay, so I'm really glad that you wanted to talk about this because I am currently in the midst of this 30-day security challenge series of videos where every day, it's not technically every single day on a calendar month, but it's going to be like every day that I actually have time to record and edit a video, which is not going to be every single day. Just putting that out there so everybody has their intentions set correctly. I'm currently in the middle of it. I think I've done about 16 or 17 episodes so far in the 30-day security challenge, but each one is broken down to a single component of security and privacy for consumers. And that breaks down everything from learning how to use a password manager to understanding what orphan accounts are and why those are important, knowing what data brokers are and how to delete your data from those. Everything you could possibly think of to protect yourself online and protect your devices, I'm going over with this series. So
Awesome.
it's really fun too to break it down because it gives you an idea of what's important and how you can get started because security and privacy is such an overarching aspect of your online digital life. A lot of people look at it and they think this is overwhelming. I don't want to do this. Where am I going to get started? And then they never actually start.
Yeah, makes sense. So, where do they start? Like, what if you had to give one takeaway from this podcast to the audience to say, okay, this is the one thing, or maybe the two things you can do today that are easy to do, easy to get going.
Yeah. So if you do want to get started with security and privacy and you've never really focused on that before, one of the very first things you can do, and it's super easy, is just grab a notepad or grab like your tablet or something that's really easy to write on, pen and paper, it doesn't matter, and walk around your house, do an entire like clock formation. Looking around your house, your different rooms in your home, even outside of your home, if you have any digital tech outside your home, and make note of every single piece of technology that exists in your household on this day. And that includes things like your car, which might be connected in today's
Yep,
day and age. It's very
probably
important.
is.
Is that something that can be upgraded? Is there firmware in your car? Is there Bluetooth settings in your car? Then you want to include that on your list. And that also includes things like your smart home, your doorbell sensor, your cameras, your phone, your tablet and laptop, even your monitors, if your monitors are connected. If
Oh, they
there's
do.
anything in
Yeah.
your life that has some kind of connectivity, your TV, your appliances, you want to list it down. And the reason that you do that at the very beginning is to understand how much of your digital life you have to focus on today. And it gives you a really good sense of how much of your data is already out there based on all these different accounts and all these different devices that you currently own. So it'll also give you a good idea of like, do you need to declutter any devices before you start setting up your security and privacy? Is there anything that you can just like firmware reset and sell so that you don't have to worry about the security and privacy later? Then
Yeah.
that'll give you a really good setting point. And then you could possibly upgrade with the money that you get from selling those old devices too, which is always a nice little after perk as well. So getting set up and understanding those devices is the very first thing that you want to do. And once you get that kind of set up and figured out, then you go into your online accounts, figure out how many online accounts you have. And I have found one of the easiest ways to do this. And I think this is like the utmost important thing that you could probably take home from today's podcast is get yourself set up with a password manager so that not only so you have different passwords for every single website that you use daily, even the old websites that you barely even connect to. Like I have a website for my tax accountant and I only log into that like once a year when I'm
Yeah.
setting up an appointment with them around tax season, and that's about it. But I go in there once a year and that has a lot of my personal identifiable information in there. So I don't want anybody logging into that. So make sure that you use different passwords for all your different websites. And over time, your password manager helps you keep track of how many accounts you have online. And you can go through that password manager like once a year, once every couple of years, and you can kind of audit all the different accounts that you have currently set up. You can go into those different accounts and delete the old ones that you're no longer using, or you can just check into them and see if they have any new security settings on their websites and their different security accounts. So it's a really good way of tracking what you currently have out there. And if you want to get started today, just understanding and having a really good idea of what you have out there is the basic way of getting started with security and privacy.
That's awesome. Speaking of, I think like the other thing that comes to mind when you're talking about password managers is, finding all these old accounts, as you said, but there's also going to be some websites, some that are gone now, right? Like,
Yeah.
and there's nothing you can do with whatever data is left of that, but at least you're aware, you can inventory those and go like, okay, so those are gone.
Mhm.
And maybe keep a list if you're making a list of devices, in addition to the password manager, maybe make a list of these are the ones I don't use much. These are the ones I use a lot. Well, those are, you don't have to write down. These are the ones
Yeah.
that are gone, right? That I don't have any way to change the password or whatever.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I do have a folder in my password manager because I am able to sort it into
Oh,
folders.
you can do
and
folders in
topics.
yours. Nice.
Yes, yes. You can do that in a lot of password managers these days. A lot of the third-party apps like OnePass and Bitwarden. There's a whole bunch of different password managers. It doesn't really matter which one you choose, just use the one that you like the most.
Yeah.
And costs the amount of money that you're willing to pay for it. Some of them are
Sure.
free as well, but a lot of them allow you to do folders now. And I have a folder on my password manager that says cannot delete, and it's basically these old accounts that I've had for like decades
Vestigial. Yep.
that just don't exist anymore. Like the website got taken down, or the business went out of business, or
You mean you
the
can't log into your Vine anymore?
right, yeah, like GeoCities, like
Oh,
these old
GeoCities.
websites.
Lycos.
So I know, like I still know what my passwords were for those old accounts, but that way I know like this was old data, this is an old account. I can't delete it now, but now I know what that password is. I know if that password ever got leaked or if that email address ever got leaked, like that's where it came from.
Now I need to go into my password manager and figure out if it has folders. I bet you it does. And I
It
just
probably
never
does, yeah.
noticed because I've been using it for so long. At the time, it was just a long list, Cool. Well, the other thing I was going to ask you, and maybe we can talk about this a little bit, like authentication, like two-factor
Yes.
and all that. So for me, and tell me if I'm wrong, because you're the expert. I have not been using passkeys because I use so many devices, right? So I've been avoiding
Yeah.
passkeys, but I've been using a authentication app for my for my 2FA, for two-factor authentication. And of course, but there's still some stupid websites out there that are like not adhering to that and want to text you, right? Or
Yeah.
email confirm. Like, what do you do about that? How do you fix that? Burner
So the
phone,
ones that
burner numbers, virtual numbers? How do you do it?
you could do a like secondary phone number that you send all of those 6-digit phone number codes to so that you get text messages on a secret phone number. That's definitely one of the ways that you can keep that kind of stuff secret. If a website only accepts like authenticating by sending you an email, you can't really do anything about that except for just protecting that email address and
Right.
making sure that your email account is as secure as it can possibly be. You're already on your way to being super secure since you already use an application to get your codes. But one thing you can upgrade if you're worried about switching phones, which actually I have the same problem because I review so many phones. I'm
Yeah.
putting my SIM card in a bunch of different phones. So I don't use connected backup passkeys, the kind of passkeys that are digital and that are tied to your current like smart device, your smartphone.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
I actually use a hardware token, a
Mhm.
hardware key
I know
called a
you do.
YubiKey because they accept passkeys. Yeah, so it's basically the
Mm.
same thing except it's tied to a physical
Oh, so
like
you're doing
USB
passkeys, but with a
YubiKey.
physical device. That's cool.
Yeah, so that way, anytime I'm like switching phones or whatever, I just plug in the YubiKey instead. And that way I don't have to back up my passkeys to a bunch of different phones. Cause knowing me, I would forget to like delete a passkey from an old device and then I would sell that device and get hacked. So my my alternative is just using a hardware YubiKey, which caveat and disclaimer, they are a sponsor on my channel, but I've been using them for like 2 decades
They're
now.
pretty
So I
great.
love
I
their
have
products.
somewhere I have one. I need to. The problem is that every time I know that I have one, it's buried in one of those many drawers or boxes of old devices, and I don't know where. So I think next time I do a big inventory and clean up, I'm gonna find my YubiKey. But
Yeah,
I
you
think
should.
I think I think one of the things I want to point out, and I'm sure you know this, but for my audience, is that if you have an authentication method that requires to send you an email, which is really insecure and not the greatest, what you can do is if you want, is like I have a separate account on Gmail and a separate address that I use for all that stuff. But with Gmail, you can add something to your email address, to the name of
That's
your email.
right.
And so I create a unique one for each of them.
That's
So when I
smart.
sign up for an account that requires email 2FA, I create like I use a new number on that account, on that Gmail account, and I give them that Gmail address, and then it still comes to that Gmail account, but then I know that it's that one.
Yeah.
And, of course, they can still try to hack that Gmail account and get all of those, but that one's pretty highly protected. That's probably the one I should put a YubiKey on. But yeah, so I think that that's definitely good advice. What else do you have? Like, obviously update your firmware, but that can be a two-edged sword, right? Because I tend to have the philosophy of not updating big software updates immediately. Like I wait a week or two when
Mhm.
Apple or Google does a software update just to see, unless it's like a super important, like you could get hacked now kind of thing. If it's more like not a security update, but a software update, I wait to see if there's any bugs or stability issues.
Yeah.
And then I wait. But then there's a lot of stuff we forget to upgrade, like TVs, routers.
Yeah. Your Wi-Fi router.
Any kind of network equipment is probably your first thing you should upgrade,
Yeah.
an update. And then, all your like home automation stuff. That's like such a gateway for hacking, right? Potentially, especially if you buy, and look, no offense, I do it too. But if you buy the cheap stuff, right? Oftentimes there's back doors and you need to really be careful about that and make sure
That's true.
you have like security set up right from the get-go and then you don't go with all the default settings, right?
I'm glad you mentioned that because even in the past couple of months, there have been vulnerabilities in different like Wi-Fi routers and network devices. Like I think there was, and don't quote me on this, but I think there was a news story recently while I was studying up for my own snubs on security videos about TP-Link and some kind of TP-Link vulnerability that they had to fix.
Ah,
So it's really important to pay attention to what vulnerabilities are happening before you purchase one of those devices. But if you are worried about a firmware update potentially like bricking your device or if there's bugs or anything, you can set your devices to manual updates.
Yeah,
I actually do automated updates for my laptop and my smartphone because overall, in general, like my Samsung, my Pixel devices, those are getting updates all the time anyway, and they are fixing bugs or they're patching security
I agree.
vulnerabilities, and I
Same.
want those ASAP.
Yeah,
When it comes to my home Wi-Fi router and my networking equipment, I do manual updates for those. And
same.
I'll just log into my account like once a month or so and see if there's an update and I'll go ahead and patch it. I already have a really secure network at home, so I don't worry about it too much, but I still like to check from time to time and make sure that there's an update available. And I do follow enough people that are in tech on like Twitter and Threads and everywhere else so that I know what's going on. And if there is a bug, somebody's going to be griping about it on social media. So I
Yeah,
always
that's
try to
true.
check those too.
That's also why, for me, I generally like have everything to manual, except yeah, I think my Mac and my Pixel are on
Yeah.
auto. But I think, yeah, generally I do manual and then I check every now and then. But for what I do not do, like I do auto on security updates, but I don't, I mean,
Mhm.
given the choice, I don't do auto on big OS updates. Like I want that
Yeah.
to be my call because
Mhm.
I might not be ready to upgrade to iOS 26 or whatever on my iPhone, or I might not want to put the latest Google update, like big OS update. Like a lot of people like are looking forward to Android 17 beta coming this year
Yes.
sometime on their Pixel, and they install it, and I'm like, no, I wait till it's like it's been out for a month and all the kinks have
Yeah.
been worked out. That's when I do like, okay, I accept the update on my Pixel. I'm old school like that. It's because it's
Install it on
mission
your burner
critical.
and then
Yeah,
check and
no,
make
I
sure it's
have
fine.
enough Pixel devices here that I can take one and say generally it's the A phone. I
Yeah.
generally go like, okay, Pixel 9a this year, you're gonna get 17 beta right away, and then I can see how much you break. you know, but but related to that, I wanted to see what your thoughts were on, basically like once you have all this stuff audited, like you say you did monthly, right? Like what's the pace at which you check things? Because, you can't obviously, it's very time consuming, to check
Yes.
everything. So I'm just kind of curious what you recommend for that.
So, yeah, when it comes to just auditing my accounts and everything like that, I don't do it monthly. I'm probably
Okay.
going in there and checking my accounts on my password manager and seeing like if there's anything I need to update maybe once a year or so. And I am a very busy adulting adult. So like I have lots of things going on in my life. And I understand that most people can't go into their accounts all the time and check them and see if there's security updates. So I do it like once a year just to make sure that there's no updates. And then one of the main things I'll look for is, can I make my security password longer on this website? Or is it still a maximum of 16 characters that they allow me to use?
Yeah.
Or have they finally implemented two-factor authentication? Can I use my
Yeah. Can
YubiKey
I
with this
use,
website now?
yeah,
Because a
or,
lot of times, website developers and admins for these businesses, even like stores you shop at online, they will eventually add additional security protocols as necessary steps so that they don't run into these vulnerabilities and bad press down the line. They want to make sure their websites are
yeah.
secure. It's just finding those security updates because a lot of times they don't even advertise it. You have to log into your accounts and find it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for me, I'm always looking for that access to my third party authenticator app. And
Yes.
sometimes once they add that, I'm really happy. Another question for you is on your Wi-Fi setup.
Mhm.
So, do you recommend people put, modern routers let you have multiple Wi-Fi networks essentially, right? Like
Yeah.
SSIDs, even though it's the same radios. Do you recommend getting a separate router for like your home automation stuff, like a completely separate router that's just an access point, like configured as a access point, or do you just use a separate network, or do you not bother? Do you think it matters? What's the threshold of number of devices? Like in my apartment here in Vancouver, I have like two home automation devices, maybe three. Like
Oh,
I like, but in San Francisco, I have a lot more because it's a bigger
yeah.
apartment. So I'm kind of wondering what's the threshold, or is there a threshold that where you switch things over to a separate Wi-Fi? And then what are best practices for sharing your Wi-Fi? Because that's something that I think is the biggest hole in people's Wi-Fi. They give their passwords to
Yeah.
their friends. Their friend then have their keychains enabled on their iPhone, and it goes to all of their other iOS devices. And then the next thing you know is they share that with other people, and it's a nightmare,
Yep.
right? Like, oh
Yeah, it's a
God.
nightmare. So treat it like hotels and coffee shops do, where they have a guest Wi-Fi and then they probably have some kind of admin or business or like employee Wi-Fi. So you should also have a separate Wi-Fi for your guests. I take it like paranoid level, and I have
I'm
4
not
different
surprised.
Wi-Fi. I have 4 different SSIDs for my house.
Wow.
I have my work one, which is tied to 2 devices. It's for my husband's computer for his work and my computer for my work, and that's it. Those are the only devices, and it's only tied to those 2 devices. Nothing else touches the work machines because those are the most important. Those are the most important to my income and to like me being able to like pay my mortgage for the house that I'm living in. So those are really important. I never want to get those hacked. So those are the most secure devices. They can't touch anything else on my network. They're basically like cordoned off, like they're quarantined into a completely separate Wi-Fi and a completely different LAN, like a wired local area network.
So how
For
do you
my,
print?
I don't print from those.
Okay. I'm just checking. That's totally a fair
if I
answer. Yeah.
Yeah, if I ever want to move anything over to my printer, because printers are like historically really bad with
I know
security
exactly. Hmm.
and they like never get firmware updates. So I have that over on my smart home LAN in my smart home
Makes sense.
Wi-Fi.
Right. So you just
So
copy the device to a phone and print from that. Or maybe,
yeah,
yeah,
I'll do
okay.
that, or I'll like physically put a file onto a flash drive and move it over to my printer and then print it out that way. So that's it's
Hmm.
never even on like Wi-Fi or anything. I'll just put it on a flash drive. It takes a little bit more work that way, but it is more secure and it keeps my laptop from ever sharing anything with any vulnerable or potentially vulnerable devices.
Right.
So my network also has, let's see, I have the guest network, I have the work network, I have the home network, which is just
IoT
for like,
devices. Yeah.
yeah, IoT devices,
Your
anything
smartphones
else.
are on the home one, then, I guess.
Yeah, the smartphones are on the home one. And then I have I have the IoT one, and then I have just one that's just regular Wi-Fi for anything else.
I see.
So anything goes, like the
Review
reviewer
units,
devices. Yeah,
like
review units.
laptops, for
Exactly.
example. Yeah. Got
Yeah.
it.
So with those 4 different ones, I do have to remember like which SSID am I putting this device on when I first set it up? And then it never changes. But if I come into my household and I have a friend invited over or anything like that, I put them on the guest network immediately. So they never even touch the smart home equipment. They can't access it. It does mean if anybody comes over, they can't share things Chromecast unless they connected to my smart home network. And it does make things a little bit more complicated in that terms. Like you can't share back and forth. You can't pivot between these different networks, but that keeps everything secure and it keeps everything manageable by me in order to like keep that control and make sure like the smart home stuff doesn't get out of hand or get hacked and end up pivoting to anything that's very important. I figure if you have a smart home network at home and something gets hacked on that network, the only other devices that could get hacked through that pivot point on your network would be other smart home devices. So if somebody hacked into, I don't know, a light in my house from um what's another smart home device that I have in my house?
Your
From my
toaster.
TV, my toaster. My toaster is not connected. What?
I
Miriam.
don't have, no, I don't have a connected, but I'd love to have a connected toaster. That'd be awesome. For no
I
reason
wouldn't.
whatsoever. I do have a connected microwave, and all it does is set the time via Wi-Fi.
That's
That's a
that's
complete
ridiculous.
waste, right? And I can't
It's
figure
a
out how
complete
to.
waste.
I
Oh,
don't know how to
great
update the
example.
firmware on that either.
Great example. I have a litter robot for my cats,
Hmm.
and that is connected. It's on the smart home IoT network. So if that got hacked and somebody started like flashing my lights on and off in my house because they were able to hack it through that pivot point, pivoting from one one device to another, then I would know like what's going on. I would know that it's just those devices that I need to secure and that I need to fix,
Right.
or just like throw away entirely because they got hacked. Like you never know.
Yeah.
But it's important to kind of segment those devices. It's called network segmentation,
Mhm.
so that you have more control.
And then when you have to dispose of these, if you get hacked and you can't get back into them or whatever, disconnect them obviously from the power. And what you can then do is do what
Yes.
Trish just did with her printer, which is really quite cathartic yesterday.
What did she do with her
She took a
printer?
baseball bat to it
Oh,
on an Instagram reel. It was awesome.
oh, that's amazing. Yeah,
You
that
should
does sound
watch
really
it.
fun,
It was very
actually.
cathartic.
What a nice and healthy way to get out some aggression.
I mean, we've
Huh.
all wanted to do the thing from, Office Space.
Yeah.
But also, I'm joking, but it's happened to me where I've had devices not hacked, but devices that were weren't working anymore. Like the they couldn't be repaired, but I had some data on there, and that data had been backed up. It was no longer important, but I couldn't feel like I couldn't leave it on there. So I took the
Right.
device apart and I literally took a hammer to the chips, like the
I do
memory
that
chips,
with,
right?
yeah, I take
So
out memory chips and hard drives from laptops before I sell them.
drills are the best. Hammers are a lot of work. You
Yeah.
stick a drill bit through the chip and you're good. Like, but I'm serious. Like, this is the kind of stuff you don't like. If you can't reset a device
Yeah.
because it's non-functional, I wouldn't dispose of it without drilling through the memory chips. And I'm talking about the storage memory, right? Like the eMMC or flash storage, all that stuff. Yeah, so I think, that's another thing. And, I'm sure that my listeners are pretty tech savvy, but they're probably going, you guys are insanely paranoid. I'm like, no, it just makes sense. Like, I don't
It
think,
does. And
oh,
honestly, like the security stuff sounds daunting, but once you get everything set up to where you're automating those tasks for the future, it ends up being really easy to manage it in the future. It's just getting your mindset into the point where you're like, okay, I need to focus on these accounts, these devices. This is what I need to fix. Like spend a weekend just updating everything, selling what you don't need or getting rid of, or doing e-cycling for electronics that you don't want to keep anymore, that
yeah,
are too old to sell. And then just making sure that all of your accounts are updated and they're in the most secure format that they can be. And then after that, it's just managing. Like
maintenance.
it's maintenance. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it really becomes much easier after that.
So should you always have an IoT or, home automation network, and even if you only have three devices? And number two question is, yeah, I think that's my main one. Like, is there a threshold or, you know, how paranoid you want to be kind of thing?
Mhm.
Like, I'm assuming that if it also depends on what devices you have on there. Although you said, as
Yeah.
you said, some big brands get affected too, so it doesn't really matter
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah,
Big brands do get affected. I have no minimum threshold in order to turn on an IoT network on my home Wi-Fi network itself. I just figure is if I've brought one device into my house that's considered a smart home device or an IoT device,
it should
then
be
I need to
isolated.
have a separate network. It
Yep.
should be isolated. Exactly.
Mhm. I feel
Um,
the same. Yeah.
but the only caveat here is if you're running your own smart home network that is all localized and like the local storage for your security cameras, if you're using like a smart assistant set up with your own tablets that are connected as a hub, then you might consider just leaving everything on the same network. But given that I review so many smart home
Oh yeah.
devices, I have so many devices that I use myself to automate tasks. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm spicy brained ADHD, and having a smart home device that I can track my groceries on is so much better for me and my livelihood and my
Yep.
anxiety. So like
Same.
there's we all have smart home devices at home, so I like having a separate network.
And then do you recommend, like, where's the threshold of like using just the ability of your router to set up different SSIDs versus like setting up separate hardware?
Mm,
Because I mean, for you, I don't know how it works, but for me, I can create a guest network and then two
yeah,
like two others.
I
Like, so
can too.
I get three on mine, which is cool. I get the guest and the regular, and then the home one, the IoT one, and that
Well, the
works
nice thing
great.
is The nice thing is these days you don't really have to spend a lot of money getting a bunch of separate networking
Correct. So at
devices in
least
order to
there's
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
Like even consumer routers and networking devices can accept multiple SSIDs, multiple networks for your home. Like you just log in with one admin account and then you have access to setting up all
Everything.
these
Yep.
different networks. So I use a more of a like consumer to business style network. It's called Ubiquity
Yeah, that's what I
equipment.
have too.
Yeah, and I love it. Like it's way more advanced than I think your regular consumer would want to use because there's a lot of settings in there that you never have to touch if you're a consumer, if you just have a home network. But if you want something that's easy, most consumer networking devices nowadays do accept multiple
Yeah,
SSIDs.
exactly.
So
That's been my
it's
experience too.
very easy to set up.
So I have a Linksys setup, and then it's a mesh setup that I have, and that
Yeah.
one does 3 SSIDs. And then the other house I have this
My
older
old one was an
Ubiquiti.
Eero.
The older one I have is a Ubiquiti, the consumer grade Ubiquiti, the
Oh yeah.
Amplify. So that's a little older,
Oh,
also
I love
mesh,
the Amplify though. It's
but
so
it's
good.
really good. The software on it is particularly good.
Yeah.
So the hardware, I need to upgrade because this is 5 and my other one is 7. And
Yeah.
so the 7 one's so much nicer on the new devices. But the other problem with the Amplify, the Ubiquiti, is that the hardware itself is made of that plastic that's disintegrating and becoming gooey.
Oh
So
no.
it's not a big deal. It's not like you touch your router very often, right? But
Yeah.
my router is covered in dirt that's just stuck to it. Like just the
Ew.
dust over the years has just kind of been absorbed by the plastic on the thing. And
You
it's,
need some Goo Gone for that. That's
yeah,
gross.
but you know what? I'm worried I'm going to damage something like if I do that. And you know, if I take it fully apart, I might be able to dip all the plastics that are sticky in some Goo Gone, but you know, I'm not going to at this point, Wi-Fi 5, let's just retire this
Yeah.
product. So that's what I'm looking at.
Retire.
Um,
It's done its
but
job.
but it's getting software update. I just got a software update on that Ubiquiti setup, which is, you
Oh,
know,
good.
shows you how I checked. I did the thing that Shannon told me to do. I went in over the holidays and said, okay, let's check all these devices for all the
As you
things.
should. Yes.
Um,
Yes, you want to know who's on your network. I did 2 videos in my security series about securing your Wi-Fi and who's on your network and how to check into those kind of things. And those are like really important steps to securing your life online digitally.
Before we move on to some beautiful video content for my Patreons, don't worry, those of you just listening will still get some good stuff out of it. I'm going to be showing some new phones and things. Before we do that, what are your final things you want to let the audience know before we wrap up security and move into the news?
Um yeah, I think bringing it back, it's not as daunting as it looks when you're getting started. And as long as you take a slower approach to it and take it one step at a time, you can totally do it. Everybody has the ability to set up security and privacy for their own lives. And I think given today's environment and given everything that's going on in the world, whether that's AI or whether that's like locally in your country, it's so important to understand where your data is, who has access to it, and how to protect your identity and how to protect your data. So just do it, just get started. And if you have questions, I'm always here to help.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we have pricing on the TriFold. Are we going to cry now, or are we going to laugh?
Hold
What is
on.
your reaction?
I think
I'm
I have one kidney. So one kidney left. So I can sell my kidney.
$2,900 is the official pricing for the Galaxy Z TriFold from Samsung, and it is now out. But by the time you get this podcast, both my Patreons who get it a day in advance, patreon.com/TNKGRL, by the way. And those of you who are listening on Sundays when I publish the audio version, this Friday, the 30th of January, is when the phone is going on sale. We're recording before that. But hey, you can get it in the US, but not Canada, which is interesting, not the UK, which is also interesting. And so far, no carrier has announced that they're carrying it. So far. That might change because they might need
Right.
to certify and stuff. What is your take? I mean, look, we both played with the TriFold at CES and wow, right? Like, I mean, this is great product. We covered it on the show. I'm sure you're excited about it because you have Samsung devices as your
Mhm.
main phones. Do you think this is crazy? Do you think people should spend that money if they have it? Do you think they should wait for Gen 2? Do you think the carriers will have it? Do you think they should even sell it in the US at this point? Do you think that they're just testing the waters? All these questions.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so many questions. Just from my experience with it and the conversations that I had with Samsung reps while I was at CES, it's absolutely a niche device.
Yeah.
And if you're on the fence about it, then no, don't get it. Like it might not be for you. It's basically a tablet slash laptop replacement, almost like a portable, foldable replacement. But you can connect and make calls with it too. So that's pretty fun. But it's going to be an extremely, extremely niche product, and it's very expensive. I'm not that excited or surprised by the pricing, given how much the Fold 7 cost. And
Yes.
seeing and being able to review and touch and test the Fold 7, I have one here in my household in my studio, and I love that device
It's
too.
great.
It's
Yep. It's
such a good
great.
device. I was so impressed with it. Knowing that that one is, just about $2,000 without any kind of discounts or deals or promotions. I was expecting the trifold to be a lot more expensive too, just because of that additional screen space and the very, very similar technology and similar specs going from the Fold 7 into the trifold, like the camera,
Yeah.
for example, and the battery power. Like all of these are really efficient, and even like the hinge technology is incredible on this device.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's
Uh,
great.
will I buy one? I wanted to get a review unit, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I will probably have to purchase one if I want to get access to it. But I am a person who uses foldables anyway. And I'm also somebody who can, show it online. I can do reviews about it. I can do things like that. So it's a business expense for me, and I'll probably purchase one anyway, just because I'm obsessed with it and I want one.
You could return it too, right? Like, I mean, I think they're going
I
to see a
could,
lot of returns. I did that with the
but I think
original.
they have a restocking fee though on Samsung's
Oh, they
website.
do. Yeah. I did that with the
Yeah.
original Fold. It's still worth it because I created enough content to cover that
Yeah.
restocking fee. I will have a review unit from what I understand. Stay tuned for more on this trifold. Look, here's my take on this. I am again super fascinated by this device. I really want it.
Yeah, me too.
Can I justify it? Absolutely not, unless I return it and eat the restocking fee, all that stuff. But I still think it's kind of exciting that it's coming to the States and that it's, if you look at it, the S25 Ultra, the Ultra phone is like 1,200. Then you've got, the two panel fold is 2,000, and the three panel fold is 3,000. It kind of makes sense, right? Like you add a panel, you pay another $1,000. But then you look at what you could buy for that, and there's two arguments there. There is this article I'm going to share from Will Saddleberg about what you could buy for that money, and it's eye-opening. But the other one is, people routinely overspend, to be clear, $3,000 on a MacBook Pro or a creator laptop of some kind, and don't need it most of the time. Like I would argue that at least on the Mac side of things with the M chips nowadays, an M4 MacBook Air is plenty enough for most people, even if you do 4K or 8K video editing. And they're so powerful now that I think the Pro is just nice to have because of the 120 hertz display and a bunch of like the ports and stuff. But most people don't even need the top of the line Pro. So you don't really need to spend $3,000 on a MacBook is my point. But at least if you did spend that kind of money, 3,000 on a MacBook, it will last you 5 to 7 years, no problem. This will not last you 5 to 7 years. This will be obsolete in a year or two when Samsung comes out with Gen 2. And they're not obsolete, it'll still be usable, like in the same way as you can still use your
The next one's going to be the quad fold.
Yeah, exactly. If you have an S23 Ultra right now, you're probably fine. Right? You don't need the S25. But my point is that it's still not going to last you 5 or 7 years like a
Right.
MacBook. And it's not as versatile as like an Asus ZenBook or, whatever, Lenovo Yoga Book, right? And so there is that. That's the part that's nagging me in the back of the head going, yeah, you're not going to spend $3,000 and keep it. But the fact that some of you can do that is amazing. And the fact that that exists as a technology is amazing. Some of the things you
Some
can
people,
buy.
a lot of
Yeah.
people have definitely purchased them because I checked the app today because there is an early access available for
Mhm.
like Samsung shop users, and it's completely sold out for the early access. So people are definitely buying it and interested. And I was like, well, I want one, but do I want to justify $3,000?
Yeah, it's
Yes, the
hard.
only reason is because it is a business expense. If it wasn't, then I would not be able to justify paying that much money for a smartphone at the
For
end of the
sure.
day.
So here are some of the things you could get. A 9 to 5 Google Will wrote this. You can get a PlayStation 5. Uh, you can get an LG 65-inch OLED TV, a Nintendo Switch 2 with Mario Kart World Bundle, and a Google Pixel 9a, and you're still coming short of the $3,000.
What?
Yep.
Oh
The
my
next shopping
goodness.
cart he put together is a fully loaded M4 MacBook Air and then a Galaxy S25 Ultra and you still have something like $1,000 left.
Oh,
Yep.
oh, it hurts.
Yeah. So let's see another combo here. Z Fold 7 with a MacBook Air. You still have $500 left. Another one. Again, a MacBook
And
Air.
this is just tech. Like you could pay a mortgage, a California mortgage for that much.
Yeah, look at this. A MacBook Air again, same setup. So these are base models, but S25 Ultra and a Galaxy Tab S11. And you're
Wow.
still under the budget by $250. So yeah,
That's
needless
crazy.
to say, this is why I include this article because not only is it genius that Will came up with the idea of doing this, but it really puts things into perspective because this is the kind of tech that you and I and my audience would want to have, like an S25 Ultra, a Z Fold 7, a MacBook Air, a Switch 2, a TV, a PlayStation 5. It's a lot of money. Like on paper,
Yep.
you can say like, okay, it's 3,000. If I have it, I have it. But then you break it down and go like, this is all I could get with that money, right? Or like you said, that's like a
It's a lot
solid
of
mortgage
money.
payment, right?
I could buy a lot of Sailor Moon merch for that
Oh my
amount
God,
of
yeah.
money. A
Yeah.
lot of anime goods.
So that's a thing now. So stay tuned on more on the Z TriFold, and also we're hearing this is videos from social media videos from Samsung that confirm that the S26 Ultra is going to be getting a privacy type screen. What's your take on that? I think it's cool, but it's interesting because it's not like the kind of thing where the screen is always privacy on or off, like some of
Right.
these HP laptops that have a switch that turns it on and off, or Dell, I can't remember who it was. This depends on the angle that you look at. And certain parts of the display can be blacked out by the developers enabling that in software.
Right.
And I'm like, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that display tech before.
I don't think we have. We've seen screen protectors that you can put on phones, and we have seen an
That's
on-off
permanent.
toggle switch.
And that's not ideal.
Yeah, if you have the toggle switch option, which some devices do have in this day and age, then you either turn it off completely and it works across all of your apps. It works no matter what, or you have the screen protector and it can either make things look a little bit blurry, even like dead on when you're looking straight at your device. It can look a little bit off, or it can be kind of bothersome to use those. And they can also kind of interfere with other screen device technology like anti-glare, or if you want your device to be a little bit more shiny, it can look more matte. So it can cause a little bit of friction there in terms of usability. This device technology that Samsung has developed, apparently you will be able to customize it. It's a very customizable setting. So you can set it to only work with different applications. You could set it to only be private whenever you get notifications that pop up. You could have it set so only when you're logging in, when you're putting your username and password on on the display when you're typing those in. It should like enable this privacy screen so people
And
looking
only on
around
that part
you
of the
can't see
screen,
it.
so it knows which
It's
parts.
fascinating.
And I think there'll be an SDK, I think, for developers to do that in their own apps, because I think a lot
I
of the
would
stuff
assume
we're
so.
seeing here is all Samsung stuff, right? Like Samsung
Yeah.
obviously knows the notifications that are being handled by the OS, right? Same with password entry and stuff that's handled by the OS and the keyboard. So, or the swiping if you have a swipe unlock or whatever, right? So all that stuff is OS level and that's Samsung. So that's great.
Right.
But I think developers would have access. I know it's really fascinating, and it's definitely, I mean, look, I am kind of not super excited about the S26 series because it's going to be very iterative from what we've seen so far of all the leaks and rumors. But this at least shows that Samsung's doing something new and different, which I think is, not exciting. Like it's not sexy. But hey,
What, Miriam?
in the concept,
Security is sexy.
no, but in the context of security and privacy, it is super sexy. And I think this is kind of amazing because it's a mainstream manufacturer doing something relevant that could really save a lot of people grief, right?
One of my big like selling and talking points when I talk about upgrading to like a YubiKey as opposed to using an application for 6-digit codes is people being able to shoulder surf and copy your code or just memorize it and type it into their own computer. Like if they know your username and password and for some reason they're like checking your stuff while you're sitting at a coffee shop and they can see what you type into your screen, like they could copy and paste that and log into your account. Like it's not that hard, especially if you're on the same Wi-Fi network. Like it's really not that hard. I've done it myself. Like it's very easy. legally. So it's cool that you can do this.
It's cool that they have this. So yeah, there you go. I've got a phone here that arrived that I want to unbox for you quickly. For those of you who are watching on Patreon, this is going to be juicy and delicious. I've got the Realme P4 Power here to unbox. And this is a phone with a 10,001 milliamp hour battery, and it's only 9.08 millimeters thick. So it's a standard thickness phone.
Wow.
And it charges at 80 watts, super VOOC, like this is part of Realme, Oppo, OnePlus, right? So same kind of charger. So let's have a quick look at this. So here's the box, standard stuff. There's an IMEI sticker in the back. Here's what it says on the box in terms of specs. So you can see that the battery's got a Dimensity 7400 and 144 hertz display. So let's have a look, shall we? First, we have a divider here. I think this is going to have a case and the documentation in it. Then there's the phone. Let me get that out. So the phone comes in two colors, silver and orange. They don't have the orange ones available, so this is the silver one. And as you can see, it's just your standard mid-range. It's not very thick, right? Standard thickness. And there's a couple of cameras on the back. I think it's a 50 megapixel main and an 8 megapixel ultra wide. This is a mid-range phone, right? Dimensity 7400. So that's cool. But the battery is a party trick. And here's the other thing it can do. It doesn't have wireless charging, but it can do reverse wire charging at 27 watt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you can charge like your friends' phones with it.
That's
the rest of the
cool.
box, there was another divider here. I got rid of it. The rest of the box has this is European prong, but it's a Super VOOC charger, 80 watts.
Love that.
Of course.
And it's 80 watt.
Yeah,
That's
Super VOOC uses USB-A for their cables. And then you get the USB-A to C cable here. I'm not gonna, you know what that looks like, right? Standard stuff. And then we have a SIM removal tool up here. So that's it.
Very standard.
Let's have a look at what's in that thing. I think there's just going to be a case. That's pretty typical here. They tend to do that a lot by giving you like it's a TPU case. As you can see here, it's in a little plastic baggie, and there's no documentation because this is a review unit. It's probably pre-production packaging, which is why they don't include it's pretty typical for Realme not to have that. Anyway, I wanted to show you that because I'm going to put this thing through its paces and figure out what it's like to live with a phone. I mean, I've been used to now reviewing phones that have 7,000 milliamp hour batteries, and that's 3-day battery life on light use easily, 2 days on normal use. You can heavy use and end the day at 40%. You know, like you can like go nuts all day, play games all day, do videos all day, and be like, oh, it's 30% at the end of the day on a 7,000. What about a 10,000? Are we going to do 4 days of light use now?
That's crazy to
So,
me.
you know, that's why I wanted to do this quick unboxing and show you this phone that exists. Again, the rest of the specs, you know, it's pretty standard stuff for China. I mean, this is, I believe, globally available, so it's not just Chinese. And but it's kind of amazing. Honor has another phone like that with 10,000 milliamp hour battery, so it's becoming a thing. And it's crazy because, you know, 2 years ago, 5,000 was the standard. You know,
Mhm.
some of the Chinese phones had silicon carbon at 6,000 and a bit. Then we went to 7,000 last year, and now we're at 10,000 this year, and this all silicon carbon. And so the question is, where is it going to end, right? Like, assuming we're keeping the thickness around 8-9 millimeters, are we going to see 15,000? And then how long will it take to charge, even if you bump the charging speed at 120 watt? Like, this is going to take a while, even at 80 watt to charge. So do you think
Oh, I
there's
can't
going to
wait.
be like a limit where people are going to be like, I think that's enough. That's enough. We're good.
The
Or is it going to be a
to
war
quote to
where,
quote Mean Girls, the limit does not exist.
okay, do you think the Chinese are just going to keep going?
They're just going to keep going.
Yeah, they're probably going to
We
just
will
keep going.
finally get here in the USA. We'll finally get our 10,000 milliampere hour batteries in our phones like 3 years from now. So I'm
Yeah.
very much like lusting after these devices that you get access to internationally. You're very lucky out there, people.
Speaking of, I have a device to give away. This is another Realme phone. It's the 16 Pro Plus. This is a
Ooh.
mid-range phone, about $450 with a Snapdragon 7 Gen 4. I have another one, and this one, the one I showed you, is the one I'm going to send you for this giveaway. But this is a triple camera system, 200 megapixel main, 50 megapixel 3x telephoto with AI zoom, and an 8 megapixel ultra wide. And then it's got a beautiful 144 hertz 1.5K display, very similar to this other phone that I showed you. And it's a bit thinner, this one, probably about 7 millimeters. But the point is, an 80 watt charging, 7,000 milliamp hours in this one. And I've got one to give away. So I wanted to tell people that, you know, we had a winner for the giveaway last time. The last giveaway was last fall, and I was giving away some AT&T sponsored devices, a Z Flip 7 and some Galaxy Buds Fan Edition, along
Wow.
with, I think, 3 months of service on AT&T. And that was won by Tyler. And so I want to congratulate Tyler for getting that. How do you win this thing? Well, okay, so the last giveaway was US only. This giveaway is Canada only because, you know, I live in both countries. So I'm going to give the Canadians a chance to win this one. How do you win? Well, it's very simple. Subscribe, or rather follow me on Instagram or on TikTok, and comment what you think you like the best about this phone. Is it the cameras, the battery? Tell me something why you should have this phone. So remember, Instagram or TikTok, you know, make sure you're following me, and then comment and tell me why you want this phone, and we will randomly pick a winner. But remember, you have to be in Canada. I don't want to have to ship this outside of Canada right now. So I know it's narrowing it down a little bit, but you know, this will work. I used it on TELUS on this actual phone. So TELUS being one of the Canadian networks. So you might not get 5G though. Just be aware. But whatever, you know. I'm getting LTE Plus on this right now. It's pretty great. So, giveaway time. And Tyler, congratulations on that AT&T swag. That was cool. And that's it for the Realme stuff. But we do have a bit more news. Oppo, speaking of the parent company here, Oppo Reno 15 series is now available in Europe, which is exciting because that's also one of those phones that, for a really affordable price point, has incredible camera tech. Like this phone that one of you is going to win in Canada has a, you know, essentially the camera system from the OnePlus 15 with an even better 200 megapixel main sensor for a much more affordable price. Now, it's not a flagship, but you're still getting a lot of bang for your buck. And the photos I've taken with their phone are really nice. Like, you can do 120 X zoom and get that AI zoom thing that you see on the Galaxy or the Pixel or the, or the Oppo phones, so the OnePlus 15 or 13. So good stuff. Anyway, so the Reno thing is just basically letting you know if you're in Europe and you want the Reno phones, they're available. They're not always available, and they're not always available in the 3 models. But this year you're getting the 15, the 15 Pro, and the 15 Pro Max, which is great. One of them has a 200 megapixel setup, I think. So pretty cool mid-range phones. Are you into these phones? Would you consider rocking a mid-range phones that was camera or imaging centric, Shannon?
Yeah, I would. Absolutely. Okay, the Oppo Reno 15, that's the one that comes in that like nice Aurora colorway, right?
Yeah, it's Aurora blue.
I
Yeah.
want one. They're so
So
beautiful.
nice, right?
And I've been so impressed with them from I've never gotten an opportunity to review an Oppo phone except for I think one. And I've been very impressed with the camera spec. And I'm very interested in making sure I have a good phone that has good cameras because I'm a content creator. And yeah, from what I've seen, they've been really great. And for that price point, like that gives you a wonderful idea of like what we should be paying for the technology versus what we actually have to pay, like here in the US. So if I can get my hands on one, I would love to check one out because, yeah, I would totally rock that.
Indeed. Yeah. So this is a pretty cool, the Reno has been kind of always their mainstreamish kind of mid-range phone. And it some years hasn't really hit quite right, like in terms of like price, performance, value equation. But I think this year it's doing really good. So, that's another reason I'm bringing it up. I don't always cover the Renos, even though I've had them in the past. But the problem with the Reno line, by the way, Shannon, is that they release them twice a year. So it's like a lot of phones. And
I see.
And so I kind of gave up on getting review units because it was too much, right? So I focus on,
pick
of course,
and choose.
Yeah, I'll focus on the main kind of like, Oppo flagships and folding phones instead. All right, let's see what else. Oh, Nothing Phone 4a Pro is coming soon. So this has been revealed by Carl Pei himself in a video recently. So, some of us are going to Mobile World Congress. Are you coming, Shannon?
I'm waiting to hear back from a potential sponsor. So
Excellent.
maybe.
Well, I have booked my stuff and I'm going to do it out of pocket, and hopefully I'll get some activations with sponsors to cover it, but I can't miss it. So I always book ahead and do it.
Of course.
It's harder to get sponsors for MWC anyway. So I tend to just try to find like some, deal with a sponsor to pay for the travel, but cover it myself kind of thing. So I'm going to be there. And the reason I'm saying that, it's very clear that there's going to be something at MWC about this Nothing Phone 4a Pro and maybe a 4a, who knows. Last year's 3a Pro and 3a were pretty awesome for the money, especially the camera system again. So I'm excited about that.
I did have the opportunity to review the Nothing phones last year, and I was very impressed. To me, being like coming from my hacker background and being really interested in technology that looks cyberpunk, this definitely matches that kind of aesthetic appeal.
Yeah.
And they've been great phones so far. I've been very happy with them, and I love the cool customizations in the like on the back of them. It's so cool. They're so much fun to play with. So I'm very intrigued, and I haven't seen the newest line yet, but I'm really hoping that we get a very similar cyberpunk aesthetic and appeal in these new ones too.
I think, the A series from Nothing is really kind of their bread and butter. Like their flagship is never the greatest in my opinion. And I really think the A series is where it's at. And so I hope they don't mess it up because there was a lot of controversy. I personally didn't mind. I like the flagship, the Nothing Phone 3, with a little matrix display. A lot of people were kind of upset by that. But I think that it's good.
Why?
I don't
loved
know.
mine.
I think
cool.
They missed the glyph. They wanted the glyph,
I see.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like the A series, though, hopefully they keep everybody happy, right? Like it's just, I think they don't have to go too crazy. Just evolve what you did last year, keep the value prop there. And, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, we'll figure it out at MWC. I'll keep you posted. I'll be there. And then the other couple of things that we have this week are the Gen 2 AirTags from Apple. So if you have, if you're about to buy some AirTags, I would suggest you buy them directly from Apple instead of like a reseller somewhere else, because that way you can get for the same price the new ones, because they have better
Oh.
tech, right? Let's see. What do they? So it's a new ultra wideband chip, and that's the big deal because that's the same chip that's on the iPhone 17 series and the iPhone Air,
Mhm.
which means you'll be able to find things better, basically. And I think they've improved battery life as well. So overall, the speaker is louder too. So basically, it looks the same. It's like a duck. It quacks the same, but louder and longer and
Louder and more
easier
intense.
to locate. You got to find all your ducks
Yes.
so you can line them up in a row. Pa-dum-pum.
More precise, which Apple AirTags have already been
Pretty
fairly
damn great.
precise.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very good. For us Android users, we have options, but they are not as precise as Apple AirTags are. Even some of the ones from like Pebblebee from
I
Samsung,
like the
there's a lot of
Pebble
different
Bees.
ones to
Yeah.
choose from. Pebblebees are the ones that I choose. Those are the ones that I always go for. I'm very interested to see how much more precise they can get because they're very good already. These AirTags are, so
Oh, I
it'll
have
be
a
cool to
feeling
see.
that it's going to be, especially when you use an iPhone 17 to locate them, it's going to be
Mhm.
like super accurate, basically. Like, I don't know how
Yeah.
much more we can make it accurate, but I think, yeah, generally for me, it's like about accurate by a foot or so, but I think this could probably be
Wow.
inches right now. So let's find out. Also, somebody in China, and we know nothing about this other than photos. And again, AI could make photos, but this looks real. Somebody in China modded an iPhone Air to put a SIM tray in it. And as you know, the iPhone Air worldwide doesn't have a SIM tray,
Right.
unlike the iPhone 17, which on some markets has a SIM tray. And so that's kind of a crazy thing to do because there's no room left in that thing.
Mhm.
So apparently what they did is they removed the Taptic engine from Apple, which is a vibration motor, which is a linear motor that's very, very precise and feels really great. The kind of stuff we have on our high-end Android phones as well. But they put a simpler, cheaper, smaller version of that. So it still has vibration, but it's very basic. It's probably just like a spinny motor, like the old school, off balance on a motor shaft thing. And then they use that space that they freed up to install a SIM tray holder and a SIM tray, somehow a SIM wired up. It's insane though. And we don't have more info about that. But as a, hacker, not in the same sense as you, but as a person who likes to tinker with hardware or did years ago, I kind of appreciate when somebody does something completely insane like that. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Strange Parts, the guy who does a YouTube channel, when he added a headphone jack to an iPhone,
I
like
love that so much.
that kind of mad. It's mad mods, like kind of mod mads. I love it. So
I do too.
I'll link to that.
I'm a
and then
big fan of
finally,
that kind of thing.
since we have a bit of time left, I want to review these. I've been talking about these on and off on the show. These are the Status Audio Pro X earbuds. And in case you're wondering, I have an avocado for scale here. Okay, so there you go. Not huge, but not small. So the nice thing is the case isn't too big. The earbuds look pretty nice. Like they have this kind of like shape, and as you can see, they're angled a bit so that one side they're symmetric. So there's a little button on top here as well, and a touch surface on the side. So that contact's down here. And as you can see, they plop in magnetically, of course. And then there's a little LED there, USB-C in the back. I don't think these have wireless charging. I could be wrong, though. I've never tried. Metal lid, plastic bottom. Also, there's some metal on the earbuds themselves. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing these up is, I'm a bit of a closet audiophile. Like, I don't want to spend the money, but I'm super picky about audio because I worked in audio and video games for years and years, and I know what I like from good audio. Like, I'm wearing good headphones because I know what good headphones sound like. And so I'm picky about my earbuds. And so far, I've been primarily very happy with the OnePlus buds, the high-end ones, and even the mid-range ones, and the Nothing buds. Again, my high-end and mid-range. Also, the Nothing headphones have been great, both CMF and regular. And Samsung, I really like what they're doing. Apple, I'm not so... it's good, but it's not as good as I'd like it to be for the money. I like the value prop that OnePlus and Nothing bring to the table. Samsung's value prop, so-so, but It's pretty decent. Again, all of these need tuning. For me, I need to go in the app and change the EQ, and that gets put in the firmware of the earbud, so it stays with the earbud. I'm not talking about EQ in your player, music player. I'm talking EQ in the earbud at the DSP level inside the earbud. I tune them and actually keep tuning curves for all of them. If you ever anybody emails me and wants a screenshot for what I think is the best EQ on some earbud that they have, I'll probably have it. I'll send it to you so you can replicate in the app. In fact, Nothing lets you share those EQ curves through their app, which is really cool. You can send a friend and say, hey, I found this really cool tuning for these earbuds. Check them out. Anyway, the reason I bring up the Status Audio Pro X is because they're some of the best sounding earbuds I've ever had the pleasure to listen to. They're noise canceling. They have, they're your standard high-end earbuds. $299 is pretty pricey, but it's an independent company, right? They partner with Knowles, who's a company that makes balanced armature drivers. So these are not the kind of drivers like a normal speaker where you have a membrane and a magnet that moves the membrane. Balanced armature is what's used in hearing aids. So it's extremely precise and extremely high quality. And it's best for high frequency. So they have a regular driver in here for low frequencies for the bass. And then they have this Knowles balanced armature driver for the high end, and they EQ it properly. And it sounds wow. And decent noise canceling is not as good as the best. Decent battery life is not as good as the best. But if you're looking, and of course, got LDAC for audio, so it works high quality on most Android devices. So that's why I recommend them, because they hit a lot of the things that matter to me, but then they kind of have a bit of an emphasis on the sound quality side of it. So if you're looking for, more battery life for ANC, I'd say go to OnePlus and Nothing or Samsung. But if you want the best sound quality, these have really impressed me. Really, really great earbuds. Status Audio Pro X. And again, they're not a sponsor. I'm just, when I see a good product that I've used for a long time, there it is. That's one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
If there are any negatives, is that they still haven't quite sorted the pause when you take them out. Like, it does work. You take them out and it pauses the music. They have a sensor on them, like most modern earbuds. But then as soon as you put them in your pocket without the case, they'll start playing music. Like they how, I don't know how OnePlus and Nothing does it, but when you take them out of your ears and you put them in your pocket without the case, they don't resume playback. Like, they just know that they're in a pocket versus an ear. Right. They haven't sorted this out yet. I told them, I gave them the feedback, like, you need to fix this, because every time I take them out of my ear, it pauses. But then as soon as I store them somewhere, they're like, well, store them in the case. And I'm like, I'm not bringing the case when I just go to the coffee shop for 10 minutes, okay? I'm walking there, I'm getting a coffee, I'm walking back. I'm not going to bring the case. And I'm that person, I'm sorry, I'm one of those old-fashioned people who takes out their earbuds when they talk to their baristas.
It's very kind
Some
of you.
people, I'm not judging. You think, yeah, this has transparency and it's okay. Phone calls on this, okay. Again, it's really good at audio. So there you go. Do you have a pair? Do you have something you like that is like your thing, your muse of earbuds right now?
I have some older earbuds that I've been using for a long time from Samsung, but I do have some new earbuds that I've been testing for the past month or so. One pair is from Sony. It's called the LinkBuds Clip, which I'm sure you've probably already checked them out. If you haven't, though, they have this really interesting design to them. They are shaped kind of like they clip onto your ears. They're an open ear format.
Open ear,
so
yeah. Do they
obviously
no noise canceling, right? Obviously.
No noise canceling in these. The bass is lacking because it is that open ear setup. So you're not getting that sealed environment inside your ear canals, but they're still really good. They're very clear. They're really good for like audiobooks, for podcasts, for vocal music, like, I don't know, Taylor Swift or whatever you want to listen to. So they're good for those kind of experiences. And they're very comfortable, like extremely, extremely comfortable. So very easy to wear for hours on end. And
that's the same with these. That's the one thing that I didn't mention, but they're super comfortable. Yeah. Like, that's another big part for me, is that if I'm going to listen to them for a long time because they sound good, I want them to be comfortable.
That's big for me too. Like, they have to be comfy. Those ones are $230 $230 USD, so
Right.
not a bad price. Obviously, they're from Sony, so they're like Sony priced. So they still are relatively expensive, but very good sound quality for open earbuds. And the other ones I've been checking out are the Shox Open Fit Pro, which
Mhm.
I kind of just happened upon these when I was at
And
CES. I walked
they're
by their
also
booth and
like
tried
over
them
the
out.
ear kind of a like open
Yeah,
setup, right?
these ones are over the ear. So when you clip them onto your ear, they kind of get in place like this with this for the video people, the speaker is on this internal piece and the hook goes behind your ear.
It's got
These
the
ones
battery.
I don't like the comfort style as much as the clips on these ones because I wear glasses and I have long hair. And oftentimes, if I'm moving my hair or I touch
Get
my
caught.
glasses, I can feel it against this hook.
Oh.
And that bugs me. That bugs the crap
Yeah.
out of me.
Yeah, I
So
get it.
there's that. But for the sound quality out of these, the drivers are really great and they sound really good. And they have this thing called, what's it called? Noise reduction. Yes, open ear noise reduction. So they use technology in these to dampen the noises around you reduce those noises, but it's nothing comparable to ANC. So it's not going
Right.
to be like
It's
active
probably
noise
used for
cancellation.
mostly for the phone calls, right? So you can have clear
Yeah,
phone calls. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And phone
Cool.
calls are very clear with these. The battery life on these are really excellent too. But when you use that noise reduction, the battery life decreases by like 50%. So that
Oof.
is kind of a downfall of them. It goes from like 12 hours down to 6 hours or something,
Oh, wow.
just around that amount. So yeah, that's something to consider. And these ones are also a little bit more expensive than the clips. These are $250. But since they have that reduction, like, do you want that? Or if you're wearing open earbuds, obviously you probably want awareness of your surroundings, safety. Like that's why I would choose these over ANC.
Mhm.
So do you want that reduction technology for $20 more? Or do you want to save, $20 and get the clips instead?
Yeah.
Usually if I'm on a plane, I prefer ANC, but if I'm going on a hike, for example, or if I'm walking around town and I need to know what's happening around me, then I would wear open earbuds and they're pretty great.
Yeah. My favorite open earbuds that have the style of the shocks that you have are the nothing. Um, what are they called? Open, I think. Anyway,
Oh
they're the
yeah.
open buds that they had like last year, I think, or 2 years ago. And then Um, I agree with you. I think that there is a place for those. I have some of these clip-on ones from Realme actually.
Hmm.
Like the ones that like the Sony Link Buds. The original Link Buds, I mean Sony, here's the thing. You're gonna pay for it, but Sony's sound quality and
It's
overall
good.
performance and their app is really good too, lets you tune and tweak everything. So, there is that, right? And then they generally go on sale pretty rapidly. You can get
They
good
do.
deals on them. So,
Yeah.
I wear mostly Sony headphones when it comes to noise canceling. I've got yeah, you're wearing them. I got the a WH6s now,
Oh, cool.
the latest. I've got the fives that I wear inside my place when I want some peace and quiet. When I mix and edit and stuff, I like to be wired, and so I have
Mhm.
these 770 Beyerdynamic DT Pro, and I've got the 990 Pros in San Francisco, which are the open. These are the semi-closed. Yeah. So I think Sony, you can't go wrong. Shocks is obviously has a ton of great reputation for, especially if you're like want lifestyle workout type earbuds.
Yeah.
And as I said, these my favorites, the One Pluses and Nothings that are the ones that go into your ear canal and have active noise canceling, and these Status Audio Pro X's are kind of like where I tend to go when I want earbuds, even if I'm just walking down the street. I
Right.
just really like to focus on my music. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff, and I don't work out really that much. So it's like I just want to be able to zone out the world. And I would say right now, my favorite earbuds, if you want like best bang for your buck, like overall best balance and really good price, because I think they're like less than $200, are the OnePlus uh, Buds 4, I believe. Yeah. And
If
if
you
you go to
just say
Hot,
buds, you'll get the name right.
yeah,
All of them are
just if
called
you go to
buds.
hothardware.com right now, and you look at my name, there's a review of these. I don't review audio
Okay.
products for Hot Hardware very often, but these were so good for the bang for the buck that I was like, okay, I really need to give them some love. Um, yeah, less than
Cool.
$200, and they great sound quality, great battery life, amazing ANC, like, oh my God, good ANC, and comfortable. And, the only drawback is, like all the buds from Oppo, OnePlus, Realme, is they don't support LDAC. They support LHDC, which is the China equivalent, which is only available on Chinese phones. But not just Chinese phones. Motorola, well, it's Chinese, has that technology too. So like basically, if you have a Samsung phone or you have an iPhone or you have a Pixel, you're only going to have AAC. You're not going to get the highest quality audio because there's no LDAC on those. So it's really a matter of picking your poison, as it were.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's a good use case for both of these. I loved wearing them to a dog park, and definitely contenders for this year, for 2026.
Wow, already cool. Well, the ones I showed you, the Status Audio, are last year's flagship of theirs. Keep that in mind. It's not the latest, but yeah. Listen, folks, we should wrap up. Shannon, do you want to tell folks where they can find you on the internet, all your social media handle and all that?
Well, sure. I'm Snubs pretty much everywhere. SNUBS on the threads and the Instagrams. And I don't really post on X/Twitter these days, but you can find me there too. Sometimes promoting my videos. That's about it. But that's what I use it for these days. And then YouTube, I'm youtube.com/Shannon Morse, spelled just like my name is.
Fantastic. Folks, you have to subscribe to Shannon's YouTube channel and follow her on social. She's amazing. You want all the security and, privacy tips. That's where you get them. Also, great videos, great content. I really enjoy it. So
thank you.
Follow her. And you know where to find me on the internet. I'm at Tankerl, TNKGRL, like the comic book character Drop the Vowel. That's my handle pretty much everywhere except for my TikTok is TNKGRL69, which is my year of birth. And people find this funny, but I think it's just made sense. The thing is, I'm not sure how much longer I want to be on TikTok with all the stuff that's been going on, the sale last week and stuff, and how the algorithm's all broken now and stuff. So I don't know, but mostly find me on Blue Sky, on Threads and Instagram. That's kind of where I live primarily these days, but I do have handles everywhere. So TNKGRL. The podcast lives at mobiletechpodcast.com on all the major platforms. So please subscribe if you haven't subscribed before yet, or if you're here because of Shannon, that'd be awesome. And then, remember that we're on all the major platforms. If your app lets you rate or review the show, please consider doing that. And then, there's a YouTube channel, youtube.com/mobiletechpodcast. Of course, there's some videos there. You'll find some hands-ons. Like my last one is the TriFold at CS. You'll find some reviews, some, unboxing sometimes too. So please subscribe. You know how YouTube works. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, click the bell, right? Comment. Yeah. And then finally, the Patreon. I mentioned it a few times on the show. If you want to get a video version of this podcast a day in advance every week for just $5 a month, this is the place to go. It's a pretty simple package. So patreon.com/TNKGRL, that's what the handle is. So please consider helping me and supporting me on Patreon. And finally, I want to thank my sponsor, Mint Mobile. So as you know, I'm constantly reviewing multiple phones, and while that's fun, it also means I'm constantly spending a lot of money for wireless service on multiple SIMs. That's where Mint Mobile comes in, and that's who I'm partnering with for today's podcast. If you also want to save money on your wireless service, switch to Mint Mobile. As tech-savvy early adopters, you've probably heard of Mint Mobile before, but let me quickly tell you how awesome their service is. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 a month, and you don't have to sacrifice any coverage, speed, or data. They're built on the nation's largest 5G network. They keep costs low because they sell direct to you online. They cut out the retail stores and salespeople. Why should you pay more than you have to for access to the same network? In my experience testing phones, Mint Mobile delivers the same data speeds and call quality as the big three for a fraction of the cost. Switching to Mint is super easy. Thanks to their eSIMs, you can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your home. No more standing around and waiting in line at a big wireless store. You can keep your current device and phone number and easily switch services. And if your phone isn't eSIM compatible, Mint will ship you a new SIM free of charge. All Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text, lightning fast 5G, and free mobile hotspot. Mint will show you how much data you use each month and recommend plans that save you money. Mint also offers a modern family plan that lets you set up a super affordable family plan with as little as 2 lines. Use my link mintmobile.com/mobiletech to get premium wireless starting for $15 a month. That's mintmobile.com/mobiletech. Stop paying more than you need on your wireless bill and start saving big with Mint Mobile. And Shannon, thanks again for being my guest. Really appreciate having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was super fun to chat with you again.
Absolutely. Listen, we'll have you on the show again in the future. And folks, we will have another show next week. So stay tuned for that. Until then, cheers, everybody.